Welcome to day 10 of my 12 days of Christmas. Getting quite close to the end now, and today's show is Titans. A show that I was so excited for ever since it was announced. And I knew right from the second it got announced that I wanted to react to it on my channel. I was hyped for it for ages. I reacted to the very first trailer to Comic-Con. I've reacted to every episode of the first 2 seasons. And fingers crossed I will be reacting to season 3 as well when that drops. Probably next year sometime, probably near the end of next year. But yeah, I know a lot of people have their issues with the show. I've always personally really liked it. Even season 1 I really enjoyed. I think season 2 was even better than season 1. I mean, it had its problems, you know, the show is far from perfect, and I think true fans can admit that because they want the things they love to, like, you know, the shows they love to improve all the time. It has a lot it needs to work on, and that's kind of why I sort of tweaked my idea for this video. I knew I wanted to do a characters I wanted to see video, but originally the plan was characters I want to see in season 3. That was going to be my thing. These are the characters I want to show up in season 3 of Titans. But then season 2 kind of came and went, and I'm feeling like now with how they kind of handled some of the stuff in season 2, they just need to focus on the storylines and the characters they have now. And maybe round those off or tie up some of those loose ends a bit and explore them a bit more, give them room to breathe, because a lot of characters they're juggling and they haven't quite got there yet. Some storylines got a bit dropped or just shoved aside, and for season 3 I think they need to focus on just what they already have going on right now. With the exception maybe of Donna's death and her maybe coming back as, I think Troya is the name, something like that, like a villain. And I imagine that's going to be the path they take with season 3. And that's kind of a continuation of the story anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. But you know, we have Blackfire is going to be a big thing in season 3, and I'm glad it's going to be a big focus. They've obviously, if you didn't know, the actress who played Blackfire has been made a series regular for season 3. So I think she's going to be like the big bad, which I'm very happy about. That should give Starfire more focus. You know, I think they don't need to add any new characters to the team because we already have probably too many. So just they need to kind of balance how many people get the focus, really, because some characters like Rachel and Gar particularly like left behind a bit, like in the middle of the season, picked up again a bit nearer the end, but even then some plots were kind of dropped a bit, like with Gar struggling to get over the fact that Dick killed him in the premiere. That kind of just went away. Rachel losing control of her powers and suddenly she had control of them. Like possessing that gargoyle who killed that guy. She never even found out about that. That doesn't really go anywhere. Blackfire is obviously going to be addressed because we have like the post-credit scene in season 3, so that's good. And then obviously Hank and Dawn's relationship issues is going to be a thing as well. And there was a lot going on, and they didn't tie up as much as they probably should have done with the finale. You know, Jason's still out and about doing his own thing, but we'll get to Jason. We will get to Jason. So I was like, they just need to focus on what they've got, you know, they don't need to add anything new really for season 3, just tie up the stories they have going right now, then you can maybe start fresh with like season 4. So with that being said, these are the characters I just want to appear at some point in the show, not necessarily next season. They might appear next season, and I would be happy to see them, but maybe not like integrate them into like the main cast straight away, or, you know, have them in like a Bruce Wayne kind of role, you know? So no longer, these are the characters I want in season 3, these are just the characters I want to see one day in Titans. So yeah, given how season 2 ended up being, I did change the list a little bit for this video, but yeah, let's get started. So first of all, technically it's more than one character, really. But one I would really like to see, or some characters I would really like to see in Titans. And this can apply to season 3. I want to see the Titans. I want to see them actually feel like a group, and they're together, and they're not fighting and bickering amongst themselves. We've had 2 seasons of that. We don't need it anymore. We've moved on. You know, Dick's become Nightwing now. They've kind of got this understanding. I need every threat they face now. Face it together. Don't have any team, you know, fighting amongst each other bullshit. You know, you've covered that to death. We don't need that anymore. In future for the show, I just want to see the Titans versus a villain, or villains, you know, not Titans versus each other and villains, which I think kind of plagued season 2 a bit. But I think we're going to get that, because I think the end of season 2 they did really become like more of like this firm family unit, and they have this understanding of each other now. The last shot of the season was them all like walking together as one. So I feel like we have the Titans now, and I just want to see them continue that in season 3 and not be tempted to just have them fight every 5 seconds like happened in season 2. I just want to see the team that the show's named after fighting threats, having some jokes and banter with each other. And we got a bit of it in the finale. I'm hoping it's just going to be like that, more like light-hearted fun between the team members. No fighting anymore. We don't need that. That's not what we want. So hopefully we actually see the Titans in season 3 and beyond as the Titans and an actual team. And speaking of teams, another team I would like to see in the future of Titans is the Doom Patrol. Obviously they have their own show, they've got that going on, and they did appear in episode 4 of Titans to kind of set up their show so we could introduce ourselves to the characters and stuff like that. They've gone on to have this amazing show of their own. But I kind of mean this as I'd like to see some crossovers. Kind of like the Arrowverse do. I know it's not like a superhero show, but like Buffy and Angel crossover. Lots of shows do like crossovers now. And I'd love to see another one between Titans and the Doom Patrol, especially because so much has happened in Titans since, the Doom Patrol showed up in it. And if you'd seen like the unreleased stills that have only just come out from the original Titans finale for Series 1, they ended up scrapping. The Doom Patrol were going to appear in it. They were going to be in the Season 1 finale of Titans. Obviously they ended up scrapping that finale and changing a lot and making some of it the premiere for Season 2. And the fact that we were teased with the Doom Patrol and Titans and like reuniting again would have been so cool, especially like see Gar reunite with them all. I think it would be great to see, and whether it's the Titans showing up on Doom Patrol or vice versa, I would love to see like another crossover between the two of them. Now that they're firmly established as their own shows, I think it'd be really cool to see them working together on something again. I don't know, I think it would be great. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're in different universes because, Niles Cold is a different actor, but they recast things in other things all the time, So I'd love to see like another proper crossover, and I'd love to see the Doom Patrol show up in Titans again. So another character I would like to see, and probably I think the most likely we might see in Season 3, or at least I think is almost a guarantee that will show up at some point in the show, is Roy Harper, aka Arsenal, or Red Arrow, whatever you want to call them. We've seen him be mentioned before in Season 2. Donna's, been on the phone with him before. We know he exists in this universe. And I love the character, so I'd love to see him show up. Particularly because it connects to something that I would like to see myself in maybe a few years' time that I'll talk about in a minute. But I just love the character of Roy. I think he'd be a great kind of addition to the team if he would join the team at some point. If not, I think we could just get him, sporadic appearances every now and again. Similar to like an Aqualad kind of role, except they don't kill him. And it's not like a flashback, it's showing up in like present day. And I feel like with Donna's death, and she was the one we've really seen have this connection to him in the show, this could be a good time to maybe have him show up. And maybe join the team at a later date, maybe if some members leave or get killed off or whatever. I just think it'd be a really interesting kind of asset to the show. He'd bring a different kind of skill set to the team, and therefore like different ways of filming fight choreography and stuff, because obviously he'd be working like bows and arrows and from a distance and stuff like that. I think that could bring like new and exciting different elements. I'd just love to see, this major kind of character in DC interact with, a live action Nightwing and stuff like that. And I know we've gotten a live action Arsenal before on Arrow, but I like to see like another interpretation of it in the Titans universe. I think it could be really, really interesting to see. So yeah, I would absolutely love Roy Harper to show up at some point on the show. So I'm just going to bundle these two in together, but they are both like individual characters I'd like to see. But I'd be overjoyed if we saw Superman and Lex Luthor show up. I think there's a lot of setup for it given Superboy's inclusion in Season 2. And he seems to be quite a fan favourite amongst people as well. Everyone really enjoyed Connor, I did as well. So it'd be cool if they can really give him more screen time next season and explore him even further. And a great way of doing that would be to introduce the individuals that he was made from, because, in the show, he was kind of made from the DNA of Superman and Lex Luthor. He was kind of, I don't want to sing Hannah Montana, but he was the best of both worlds in a twisted way, because obviously Lex is kind of evil. But we had some setup for Lex making an appearance with Mercy Graves' role in season 2, and the fact that she kind of failed him seemingly at the end of the season. I'd love to be like, he could be like, fine, I'll just, I'll settle this myself and make him appearance. That'd be really cool. We've got loads of versions of Lex Luthor before, obviously, and some on TV, with like Smallville being the most famous and successful one probably, and also Supergirl has Lex in it now. And it'd be nice to see like a Titans version of him show up to maybe clean up Mercy's mess or whatever, or see him, like, even if it's just like a cameo where he like punishes Mercy for failing him or something. It'd be really, really cool if they could do that, and I think the setup is there for him to make an appearance at some point, so that would be great. And with Superman, it'd be cool to see kind of like Superman and Superboy in live action interacting would be great. I know we've had like some kind of Superboys in media before, but this would be really, really cool, I think, to see this iteration and what Superman in this universe would be, because we've got Bruce Wayne / Batman. I know Ian Glenn didn't actually suit up or anything, but it was nice to have Bruce Wayne in season 2 as that kind of character who showed up every now and again, and how they treated him was a really interesting kind of dynamic with Dick. I'd love them to do a very similar kind of thing to that with Clark Kent or Superman and Connor. I think if they did a similar kind of thing with how they used Superman as they did with Bruce Wayne, I think that could work quite well. Similar kind of Young Justice vibes. So I'd be really, really interesting in seeing him show up as well, kind of provide Connor maybe some guidance or whatever, and that could really further his character development and his arc on the show. To actually meet one of the people he was made from, I think would be really, really interesting, because he kind of had a guardian figure almost in Eve, but then she kind of just disappeared a few episodes before the end of the season. We just didn't see her again. Kind of an unceremonious exit, really. So maybe she'll come back as well, but I would love to see Superman kind of play a similar role in Titans, the show, as Bruce Wayne is currently doing. I think it could work really, really well. And finally, this is the one I want to see most, so I thought I'd just save him for last. The character I really want to see in the future of Titans is Red Hood. Spoiler alert, if you're not aware of the comics, Jason Todd kind of dies. In the comics, he's obviously like killed by the Joker. I'm not sure they'd actually do that in the show, but I do believe they have every intention of making Jason Todd Red Hood at some point. A lot of people think he'll show up in season 3, and Jason's like gone off on his own, and he'll like form his own identity as Red Hood. I don't know if they're going to do that. I'm not sure how I'd feel about that. I'd actually have to see them play that out. But I prefer it if they like killed him off, maybe make us think he's dead for a bit, and then he comes back as Red Hood, because obviously he's revived in like a Lazarus pit and stuff, and goes a bit crazy. He's kind of an anti-hero nowadays, really. Villainous at times, because he didn't really forgive Bruce for not killing the Joker's revenge when he did initially die. Because, he was killed off in the comics because people didn't like him and they voted to have him killed. But then they brought him back to life in this new story, and I think people really took to that. And if you haven't seen the Under the Red Hood animated film, watch it, because it's so, so good. But I think it's just such an interesting story, and plus Cohen is so good as Jason Todd in the show. I think it would be great to kind of see him go through this arc, and just to see like this live action Red Hood would make me all giddy, because Red Hood's one of my absolute favourite DC characters. And this was kind of lead into potentially a Red Hood and the Outlaws spin-off, because if there was ever like a live action Red Hood and the Outlaws, I would lose my shit. I'd be so happy. Like, if it was like a James Gunn situation, and DC came to me and said, you can direct any film you want, any property, choose what you want to do. And obviously he chose Suicide Squad. I would 100% choose to do Red Hood and the Outlaws any day of the week. I would love to do it. I don't know like the general reaction, because I don't actually read a lot of like comics really, but I loved the 2011 run of Red Hood and the Outlaws, and that had Red Hood, it had Arsenal, and it had Starfire, like the Outlaws. And that was kind of what I was talking about earlier with Roy Harper being brought into it. He could kind of, if he didn't want to stay on Titans because it's a crowd in there, maybe we could get a spin-off Red Hood and the Outlaws show, and that would obviously allow Robin, because obviously he'd become Red Hood at this point, and Arsenal to kind of go off onto their own show. That would allow more people to get more focus on the team in Titans, because there'd be less people around there, and they just really want to see a Red Hood and the Outlaws show, or movie, whatever. If we get something like that, or even if they just do the arc on Titans, I'd be so happy. And Starfire is part of that Outlaws team that I really liked in the comics. I know it's not the same. I'm not sure if it's the same lineup anymore. I know Bizarro, I think, is in the lineup now because they rebooted it again. But I wouldn't want Starfire to leave Titans, so I'd definitely change that up if they were going to do like an Outlaws kind of show. I'd definitely have her stay on Titans because I really, really like her with those characters. But I think it could solve this problem going through with the Red Hood thing if you like made another show out of it. It would allow us to focus more on some of the characters that often get left behind because there's just too many characters in the Titans right now. But yeah, Red Hood's just one of my favourite characters in DC, one of my favourite story arcs. I'd love to see them tackle it. I think Cohen could absolutely smash it because he's a fantastic actor and he's so good as Jason. And it's kind of a cool way of like bringing Arslan into it as well, or Red Arrow, I guess. And you could have like cool like guest star in an episode or something. You could do crossovers with that show as well, if they made it as like a little homage to that lineup from the 2011 run. But yeah, if we get Red Hood and Titans at some point, regardless if it's just on that show or if he ends up getting his own show, I'd be so over the moon. It'd be just the best. So those are all the characters I would like to see in Titans at some point in the future. Not necessarily season 3, but definitely beyond that, if we get beyond season 3. Fingers crossed we do. I'm very, very excited to see what characters could show up. I really do feel like they do need to focus a lot on what they already have going in season 3, but I don't think they'll be able to resist adding another few new characters in. So I could see ourselves seeing like Roy Harper show up. Might be a bit soon to have Jason Todd become Red Hood, but maybe it could happen. Superman and Lex I could see showing up very briefly in season 3 in like a Bruce Wayne kind of role. I wouldn't mind that at all. But yeah, I think a big thing is also maybe a crossover with Doom Patrol would really help lighten the mood of an episode for once. But also just to see the Titans be the Titans in the future. That's all I need. So hopefully they're going to follow through with that as well. But yeah, that's kind of all the main characters right now that I want to see in Titans in the near future. I probably could find a lot more, but we don't want this video to be 500 hours, so best not. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Check out my Titans reactions if you haven't watched them. What characters do you want to see show up at Titans at some point? And yeah, that's all I really have to say for this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for another one.